It's not year of the monkey. It's not the year of the goat. It's not the year of the pig. Actually, it is the year of the pig, but it's also the year of the villain. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Graphic Content. I'm your host Ted Kendrick, and today we're talking about DC's Year of the Villain. This is a summer-wide event that is going on over 2019. It's spawned out of the events going on in Justice League right now, written by Scott Snyder with a couple issues by James Tynion IV. He's been writing all of the Legion of Doom focused issues, which have been happening every 4 or 5 issues or so, just to give us the villain's perspective during the main events of the Justice League book. So Year of the Villain has Lex Luthor, and he's amassed a bunch of new powers. In the Year of the Villain special here that was released right before Free Comic Book Day in early May, this was on sale for 25 cents for this whole issue, and it sets up events going on this summer such as the events of Justice League Year of the Villain with Luthor, which I'll go into in just a moment. It also paves the way for Brian Michael Bendis's Leviathan. I've either done an episode, I forget which order this is coming out in, but I'm going to talk about Leviathan on the show too. 25-cent special also helps set up City of Bane, which is a story arc in Tom King's Batman series, the last story arc before he switches over to the Batman Catwoman book. Here in Year of the Villain, to focus on the Justice League elements of the story, we've been following Luthor. He and his Legion of Doom have been going after the power of the Totality. The Totality is a power source that has landed on Earth and become available after the destruction of the Source Wall. If you have been reading DC for the last year or so, you'll know that the Source Wall was destroyed at the very end of Metal, the event with the Dark Multiverse and the Batman Who Laughs. So if you are interested in the Year of the Villain, I'd recommend starting off with Metal first. Even Metal has a bunch of self-referential stories. It helps if you've read Final Crisis, The Return of Bruce Wayne. It also helps if you know all of Scott Snyder's Batman run, because he's introduced the concept of various metals throughout that series. But if you just skip to Metal, you should be fine too. From Metal, that flows into Justice League No Justice, which was a 4-issue series that came out in 2018, focused on 4 branches of the Justice League combined with the villains and the Teen Titans that went off to essentially stop these giant beings called the Omega Titans. No Justice paves the way for the current Justice League series written by Scott Snyder, and that is where the Year of the Villain truly begins to flourish. Luthor has teamed up with the Legion of Doom. He's got the Joker, Black Manta, Cheetah, Sinestro, Gorilla Grodd, all the classics that you know. And some of these villains weave in and out of the series. Events like Drowned Earth took Black Manta off the table. The Joker kind of went away after the Batman Who Laughs came on board. Currently, Luthor and the rest of the villains have found Perpetua. Perpetua is a being that existed beyond the Source Wall, but after its destruction was freed. Recently been revealed to be the mother of the Monitor and the Anti-Monitor, who were both major characters in the original Crisis on Infinite Earths. There's a new character called the World Forger, who was talked about during the Metal event, but we don't really get to meet him and learn more about him until the Justice League's most recent 5th Dimension story arc, actually the 6th Dimension. There are 5th dimensional entities too there. After that story arc, we are here now in the Year of the Villain. In this special 25-cent issue, we actually see Lex Luthor kill himself at the offices of LexCorp for the entire world to see. He didn't actually die. In reality, Brainiac helped him construct a new body out of a white Martian DNA. The events of Justice League have explained that the Martians used to be the same as humans, but a couple thousand years ago, the species diverged, originated on Earth first, and then traveled to Mars. There's a lot of history between John Jones, the Martian Manhunter, and Lex Luthor that we didn't know until now. And the two of them are on a collision path, basically searching for the Totality, which will take us into these events of Year of the Villain. So now that Luthor has harnessed the Totality, he's free Perpetua, he's got her kind of under his control, and now that he is in his new white Martian body, he calls himself Apex Luthor. Apex Luthor has sent a bunch of Brainiac drones all around the world at the end of Justice League number 25, and they're in search of villains to give them an offer. Luthor is going to end up using Perpetua's power to grant these villains new superpowers of their own. It's actually really reminiscent of a 90s DC event called Underworld Unleashed, in which the demon Neuron, who is essentially the DC universe's equivalent of Satan, Neuron comes to the world and he offers a bunch of supervillains power in exchange for their soul as well. So it's the same sort of gimmick, just to be able to provide an in-universe reason for why some characters are more powerful now and others might not be. So just like Underworld Unleashed, it's just a good way to shuffle the characters around and make something new. Basically, Year of the Villain is an overarching story that does touch on City of Bane, it does touch on Leviathan, but you don't have to read every book that it touches to fully understand the story. The main events, I believe, are going to be occurring in the Justice League book by Scott Snyder. So if you just follow that, you'll be okay. If you're reading other books, the Year of the Villain's going to touch on your series that you're reading, but it's not going to be in any way that'll demand that you read a bunch of other books to get the full story. There's not a gazillion tie-ins this time around to purchase to fully understand everything. I personally, I'm going to keep reading the books I'm reading. I know Batman will cross over with it, Justice League will cross over with it. Justice League will actually be the predominant storyline. If you're already reading Justice League, great, keep reading it. You'll get the core story there. There's a couple of other special issues too, Year of the Villain specials that feature the Riddler, Sinestro, Luthor, and a bunch of other characters too. I don't know how strongly those are going to tie in yet. The Luthor one might be a good one to read to get backstory in terms of what he's been up to. So every month, at least for 4 months, the Year of the Villain is structured with a different topic. The first month here in July is going to be called The Offer. This is Luthor going around offering new powers to certain characters. Where's my phone? 1 second. After The Offer, there's one called Dark Gifts, a focus on the villains actually choose to accept Luthor's offer. So we're going to see who's received what, who's going to be more powerful. That's probably going to happen over August. Then in September, the next group is called Evil Unleashed. This is just pure speculation. It could be the gathering of all the villains, because the Justice League seemed to think, based off what the Martian Manhunter sensed over the last couple months, that something huge is coming. And if Perpetua, the mother of the Monitors, are involved, yes, it's going to be huge. So the Justice League are going off to the multiverse to try to collect all the different parallel versions of themselves to get them in a group to fight this ultimate bad guy. They're also going to try to reach out to the villains and see if they can ally themselves with them to combat what's coming, as well as every other hero that's around on Earth. You can expect to see the Justice League massively expand to fight whatever is coming. This is going to be a huge epic coming through in the Justice League book here pretty soon. The last Year of the Villain books are called Doom Rising. This makes me think maybe it leads into a greater story coming up next. I don't know for sure. Year of the Villain's all we really have to go off of. There was a bit of a hint. I've talked about this in the episode where I focused on the Price crossover between Batman and the Flash. There's an epilogue there written by Josh Williamson where Batman's at the Batcave, he's looking at the computer, and he's talking to Superman about how they really can't trust anybody anymore. They don't know who's who. And that makes me think that there's going to be versions of familiar characters coming from the multiverse that have replaced versions of our own characters that are out there in the world. The rumors that I've read have said that Perry White and Donna Troy are two main candidates that could be multiversal replacements. I don't know for sure, but the little teaser there made it seem like Batman can't trust anybody, including the Flash. And we know the Flash has some of the most experience in the multiverse over any other character in the DCU. So this episode might be a little premature given that we don't really know a whole lot about this event except for Justice League number 2526 and that 25-cent Year of the Villain special. But nevertheless, I think the Justice League book is going to continue to get better. It's the best the book has been in a long time, and I think this is going to be a really cool event to follow and see what Lex is up to and how he uses the power of Perpetua, which I don't know if Scott Snyder knew this. I almost said Zack Snyder, different Snyder, but released the Snyder cut. Anyway, I don't know if Scott Snyder knows this, but Perpetua is a font. So, yeah. This has been Graphic Content. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, we have other videos out on the Watchtower Database YouTube channel. Video essays every other Sunday. Maddie Washburn does the Vanishing Point Timeline show. I'm one of the co-hosts on the 12th Level Intellects podcast with James Strecker, and I'm also the writer on the Legacies of the DCAU webcomic, which you can read online for free at legacieSDCAU.com. I hope you've seen a bunch of this text fly across the screen. Hopefully James wrote it in the Perpetua font. I don't know what that looks like myself. That's what it looks like maybe. I don't know. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you again in 2 weeks from now. All right, bye.